we stay with the players that are getting a little bit hotter. Let's get into our weekly MVPs. And if you want, Logan, kick it off.
All right. I was going to go with Dansby Swanson.
Oh, you changed it.
I did.
Ooh.
13 for 29 for 448 clip.
Okay.
4 home runs, 6 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. Right. That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good week.
Isaac Paredes over the last week hit 5 home runs. Infielder for Tampa, not well known, had a 3-homer game, and then I think homered in his next at bat the next game.
Yeah.
So like there's some really good ones. I know your pick, Trey Turner batted 500. I'm going to go with Dylan Cease. We don't do a whole lot of pitchers because they pitch once or twice on the week. Dylan Cease, 2 starts, goes 1 win, 0 losses, 13 innings pitched, went 6 and 7 innings respectively. Gave up 5 total hits, 1 earned run, 24 Ks.
Oh, that's good for the fantasy team.
That's good for the fantasy team. He's 6 and 3 on the year. He's had a couple rough starts where he's walked too many. But Dylan Cease, with his beautiful mustache, looks like he is he's getting into a groove, and that's going to be really good for the White Sox. Trying to catch the Indians.
Yeah, and hopefully it gets contagious, with Giolito and Lance Lynn and a couple of the other guys on the staff, because they're a team that was, admittingly, we said that they were going to win the division. They were a team to potentially win the World Series and the AL, and they just haven't quite lived up. A lot of injuries. That I believe they were tied for the first for the most teams with players on the IL list. So, I mean, there is that, but at the end of the day, it's a good sign if you're a White Sox fan that maybe they're heating up.
They're 5.5 out of the AL Central race, but also only 5.5 out of the wild card.
Yeah,
if you get hot, if their pitching gets better, then hey, you never know.
Yeah, they got enough hitters. They got enough potential. We'll keep an eye on that. But
going with Dylan Cease.
That's a good one. I like it. My weekly MVP is Javier Baez, who has been off to a pretty rough start. I mean, he was preseason ranked right anywhere in between that 60 and 70th player overall. So he, should overly be performing. He's probably owned and started 90 to 95% of people in fantasy baseball. But this week he went 11 for 23, 6 runs, 5 singles, 2 doubles, a triple, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 16 assists if your league has assists, and he hit 478. So
solid across the board.
Just just a great accumulation of stats. I know the league that we're in, we have 13 hitting categories. So if you can fill up those, it's a little different than your traditional 5v5. But either way, he had a great week. But I wanted to give a big shout out to Jack, who we had as an honorable mention of our worst players last week, who I honestly thought, when the Pirates started calling up people, Jack Sawinski wasn't going to continue to be on the roster. So know what he did? He said, hey, I'm a big fan of VegasOdds. I'm listening to this. I'm going to have myself a game. And he had 3 home runs in one game the day after we talked about this. And then he followed up with another one. He had 4 home runs on the week and just had himself a pretty fantastic week. So I want to give a big shout out to him. And another guy that we weren't quite curious. And we talked about McCutchen last week, and we were like, I don't even know if he's on the roster anymore. He had himself a week last week as well. McCutchen was the top 20 player in fantasy baseball. He went 8 for 24, hit 333, which if he hit 333 in a career, that's getting you into the Hall of Fame.
Good.
But he went with 5 runs, 4 singles, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and I think only 2 Ks. So he had himself a week as well. But those are kind of my 2. And as you mentioned, big shout out to Dansby Swanson. Drafted him. He has been an absolute stud, not only this season but last week. So Dansby, if you're watching this, just keep doing big things down in Atlanta.
Who else? Oh, Espinal struggled.
He did. He didn't have one.
Struggled.
He did. But maybe he'll land.
Let's get into our struggles.
All right. Yeah, let's jump right into it. Worst players of the week. Editor, I want you to cue the clown music now, because not that these guys are clowns, but when you have a bad week, I feel like there's some head games going on. So go ahead and cue the music. All right, let's get into the worst players of the week.
All right. Espinal struggled for 2 weeks, but I got to go with Jose Burrios. Another pitcher. Yeah, he's on the Jays. Man, Burrios, 2 starts of 4 innings and 2 2/3 innings for a total of 6 2/3 innings and 2 starts as a guy that should be going into the 7th every game.
Yeah.
2 losses, only 2 strikeouts, 3 walks, allowed 2 stolen bases. But get this, in those 6 2/3 innings, he's given up 14 earned runs, 5 home runs.
Oof.
2 losses for the Jays when they need a pitcher to, I don't know, pitch.
Yeah, I mean,
he's been bad.
Yeah, that's not good. Not good at all. And it kind of, goes with kind of how the Jays have, because my worst player of the week is Santiago Espinal, as you mentioned. 1 for 23, 2 runs, a single, 1 RBI, 2 walks, 6 Ks, hit .043. So when you have 2 players on the worst players of the week list. That's a bad week for the Jays. That's a bad look, and it pains me sometimes to have to do that to poor Logan and his Jays. But they had a bad week. We'll see if they recover. So if anything, if as soon as we mention on the show for worst players or somebody needs to kind of get going, it usually works because these guys are definitely big fans of the show. So Santiago and the Jays, you better get going. I have a couple of Jays on my fantasy team, so let's keep going.